Welcome to the High Ground podcast in under 10 minutes. I'm Stevie W.
And as always, Callum.
And today we're going to be asking, why are Paul Verhoeven's movies hard to replicate in under 10 minutes? Why can't they make a good robot? Why can't they do a good remake or a sequel to a Paul Verhoeven movie?
Well, I think at the risk of making this in under 1 minute, because the first ones are always don't need a sequel. They're wrapped up nicely, I think.
But you got things with Starship Troopers, you could argue, and RoboCop, because RoboCop had comic books and everything, which the characters there, the hero, which you need to go further with. You want to go further because you want to see what happens to them. But the thing is, Paul Verhoeven is able to make children's films that are also adults films, and they do it for the more of the adult audience in terms of the violence and the gore. But it's the sort of things like with going to an alien planet and shooting bug-like aliens, or a robot cop that is going around cleaning up the city. It's a children's thing that sold toys and everything, but it's done for a mature audience. And I think that when the studios are actually seeing it, all they're seeing is we can do a sequel, but we can make it for teenagers and kids, and that they miss the satire and all the heart of what is the movie. They think the heart is the action and the violence when it's not.
Yeah, I think that's actually exactly what I was going to say. That the fact that all the sort of the first installments of his films where they get sort of crap director sequels, I'm thinking RoboCop specifically and Starship Troopers, is the satire that's elevating it to the more intellectual level and the level of the adult, shall we say, rather than the shiny shooting bangs and the blood and all that. It's ironically that the kids find the gore like exciting, but I think like they find all the action and the spectacle exciting. But with Verhoeven, there's always a bit more underneath, and that's what makes him such a good director. Whereas when you move beyond, when you get to Starship Troopers 2 and even something like RoboCop 2, which was a theatrical release, it just feels, I've said this loads of times to you actually, it just feels like a TV series episode from the 80s or early 90s of something science fictional. It doesn't seem like the next sort of logical step for RoboCop. I think all the direct-to-video sequels for Verhoeven's films feel like this.
I do completely agree with RoboCop. I mean, you look at RoboCop's suit, and one thing I never liked in RoboCop is his suit. It's too shiny, and it does feel like a TV series. And the color palettes they use for it. And if you consider that Irving Kershner, the director of Empire Strikes Back, did RoboCop 2, there's high hopes for that one, and it was a comic book, except for there was. I mean, if you look at the time, Marvel did the comic books of that period for RoboCop. So it's watered down. I mean, it has some violence. You look at Kane in RoboCop 2. That is pretty gruesome. What happens to him?
Oh yeah, it's still violent. That's one thing I do like about it. It's still quite violent, but it just feels it feels more mean spirited in RoboCop 2 for some reason, because they're not going for the satire at the same time.
Yeah. And I think that's the key thing, is the satire. And I remember sitting in the cinema and watching Starship Troopers, and there's only a few people that actually got the humour. But we get you, sir. And and everybody else is sitting there going, "What?" It's just an action movie because there's multiple levels. But but when you take that, like I said, the satire out of it, it's not the same film.
Yeah, I mean, you have to remember that Verhoeven's a guy that grew up, in a country that was occupied by the Nazis in World War II. So if anyone understands propaganda and the power that corporations and organizations have over people that they supply or control, and violence as well, how many of us over him know that? None of us, none of the great American directors lived in an occupied country. I mean, some of them probably fought in the war, obviously, but it's not the same. He understands the violence on a different level to us, I think.
It's
that makes sense.
Real knowledge versus textbook knowledge. you can read all about the atrocities, but it's still not the same as living through it.
Exactly, yeah.
And so.
And he does always acknowledge that the only way to do stuff like this is to make it cartoonish, because otherwise the violence is too depressing.
Spielberg didn't. If you look at Spielberg's Raiders, Temple of Doom, Last Crusade, his depiction of the Nazis, not Temple of Doom, Raiders and Crusade, compared to his later work, Schindler's List and Saving Private Ryan. But
yeah, they're like comic book bad guys, aren't they?
They are, but yeah, and it's the military in Starship Troopers though, and yeah, and the brain bug at the end is
yeah.
That's...
I mean, have you seen the sequels?
No, it never appealed to me. Even
No,
though I mean,
the second one's directed by Phil Tippett, which is what actually attracted me, because if anyone doesn't know, he's like the stop motion wizard, isn't he, from Star Wars and RoboCop specifically. But it's basically The Thing, like repackaged as a Starship Troopers film, and it's same with Hollow Man 2 as well. Like, I didn't particularly think Hollow Man 1 was great, but you could still tell it had that Verhoeven panache about it. And then the second one's it's like when they made Darkman 2, it doesn't have the same, it's not Sam Raimi immediately.
So you've got a great director that's made a standout movie, don't get a hack to do the sequels. Get some new understanding.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay, we got this in under 10 minutes. I think we've answered this question. This is actually the shortest in under 10 minutes.
Yeah, though I don't really know what, there's not really much else you can say, is there? Because we sort of nailed it on the head right at the start, didn't we? There's no need for these sequels to exist. So, not really anything you can. I mean, they have I do quite recently when we watched RoboCop 2, I enjoyed it a lot more, and I've even got a soft spot for RoboCop 3 as well. But I mean, there's no denying they are a lot worse than the original.
I was going to say I saw RoboCop 2 and 3 at the cinema, so I queued up for these films, so I was like, yeah. At the time they were a big thing, because RoboCop, I had waited till it was on video because it was 18, and it's sort of like, and I know I was too young to get into the films, but that was when cinemas were more lenient as to the policing of the policy, and so I loved it when I was a kid, RoboCop 2. Not so much 3 because it was a bit at the time, but definitely.
Why 3 before 2?
Pardon?
I remember watching RoboCop 3 before I saw RoboCop 2, so I was confused as to why they went back to Peter Weller after a different actor, and then my dad had to explain to me, well, there's a big 3 on the front cover of that video, Callum, so that should be clear. Because my dad was the one that got the videos for me. Or we taped it.
Yeah. So that's been our opinion as to why Paul Verhoeven movies are hard to replicate. I'm Stevie W.
And Callum.
See you on another High Ground podcast.